hockey game. Montreal, the everyday and the extraordinary. The Elias Macco Show on CJAD 800.
Trudy sitting in for Elias for the next little while, talking now about a very old piece of parchment that is now part of the Université de Montréal's Rare Books and Special Collections Library. This is considered a historical gem. It's of great interest to researchers. And here to tell us more is the librarian with the Université de Montréal, who has a great knowledge about this parchment, Mathieu Thomas. Welcome to CJAD 800.
Hello.
First of all, tell us about when you first got word that an acquisition was possible. Did you have money in the budget to acquire this particular piece?
Well, our normal budget would not allow for such a purchase. I mean, the reason we were able to acquire this fragment of manuscript was that we were able to use a special budget, like a special endowment fund, donations made by the public, basically, and so that's why we were able to purchase it.
And where did you find it?
It was purchased at a booksellers in Europe. The story goes that in the old days, binders with books they would reuse scraps, what they call binders waste. So, for example, in this particular case, it was the manuscript that we have, the fragment of manuscript that we have, which is basically animal skin, was used as to reinforce the binding of a 16th century book. And it was just later that it was discovered that it was kind of hidden inside, and so when people realized that, they took it out, and so they were able to sell it as a different piece, which was in itself more valuable than the 16th century book, just the single piece of parchment.
I find that so interesting that the bookbinder at the time took a look at this, and it would be like the equivalent to us of scrap paper,
Exactly.
Something. Oh, I got this birthday card 4 years ago. I don't need it. I'll use it to do some other craft, and we don't see the eventual historical value. What is written on this piece of parchment?
Okay, so basically what it's about is basically an interpretation of the Bible. So this can be a little tricky to explain, but basically it's a commentary of a commentary on something else. So it was written by a Benedictine monk of the 9th century, who's called Smaragdus of Saint-Mihiel. So Saint-Mihiel is like an abbey in Lorraine. And so this Smaragdus in the 8th century wrote about the commentaries written by another man, Origen of Alexandria, which was a 3rd century Greek scholar. And Origen was himself writing about St. Paul's epistle to the Romans. So it's a commentary on the Bible.
That bookseller that ended up incorporating this piece of parchment to bind another book, at that time, do you think that was the correct call to look at this and say, well, this doesn't look very interesting or valuable, I'll incorporate it into the binding of this other book? Was it the correct call, or did the bookbinder at that time, so many hundreds of years ago, make a big mistake in your view?
Well, it was in the 16th century, so it's hard for me to judge their actions at that time. But I mean, I'm sure there was just like, this is a piece of scrap. This is old manuscript of basically no interest, because it's a writing that appears elsewhere. I mean, the actual writing, the subject matter is not that interesting. I mean, that's not that rare. It was pretty common in those days. So they just thought, this is a decent piece of parchment. It can be used to reinforce the binding of my book, and so I'll just use it. So, 5 centuries later, it's hard for me to say they made a mistake, because of their actions, we're able to enjoy that manuscript. And for us, the reason why we acquired it at the library is basically not, as I was saying, is basically not the subject matter, but mostly the materiality of the document. I mean, for us, what's really interesting, the real value of the document is that the nature of the writing. It's the script. It's what we call the Carolingian minuscule. So it's basically the origin of our current way of writing. And when you look at the manuscript, at the fragment that we have, and you look at the letters, and it really looks like our current script. We can actually read it pretty easily. You know, it's in Latin, of course, but the alphabet in itself is quite easy to understand, and that's what's fascinating.
I would also think that it could be interesting to learn what kind of ink was used and how the parchment was prepared before it. It seems to me that a number of departments at the Université de Montréal might be interested in taking a look at this thing beyond the actual meaning of the words.
You're exactly right. I mean, of course, the people who are most interested in it are the medievalists. You know, the professors that we have here that are interested in the writings of that era. But you know, as time passes and as we are, you know, as you know, more and more in a digital world, it's as if professors and students are rediscovering the value of the material, of the actual materials, and how were manuscripts and then later books were made. I mean, what kind of material did they have? What kind of ink? You know, as you said, different natural pigments that were used to write with, and also when you see the actual parchment, you can actually see that it was animal skin. So you have a what they call the hair side and flesh side. So you can see there's a little difference on when you turn it. You can see that it was an actual animal skin that was used, maybe sheep or maybe calf.
Does the library have to take any special steps to preserve the parchment to keep it from crumbling, to keep it from drying out or otherwise being destroyed?
Yeah, of course. At our library, as in other rare books or special collections libraries, we do have climate control. So the main thing is to protect it from variations. So it's constant humidity, constant temperature, and of course usually in the dark. You know, of course when we show it to visitors, when it's used by professors or students. Of course, the lights are on, but I mean, apart from that, it's protected by a plastic covering. But apart from that, yes, you can. You know, it's in pretty good shape. You can actually use it, turn it around, examine it, and I would even go so far as to say that it's in way better condition than other documents that we have that are, documents printed in the late 19th century or early 20th century that were made by with wood pulp. Are actually crumbling in our hands. But this document, which is more than 1,000 years old, is actually in pretty good shape, and it really holds well together.
Can members of the public go to the library at the Université de Montréal and see the document?
Yes, we're open to the public. I mean, generally people can come here and consult our collection. It's not only for people of the Université de Montréal. We're open to the general public, but we do hold special visits on every first Tuesday of the month. So it lasts for an hour. We visit the premises. We give a short visit, and then we show some of our treasures, and that is open to the general public. People just have to go on our website and register. So it's first Tuesday of every month.
Mathieu, thank you very much for the interview.
It was a pleasure.
Mathieu Thomas is a librarian with the Université de Montréal.
iHeartRadio is throwing it back.
2010s, the decade.
To the days of huge hits and unforgettable anthems. A non-stop stream of the biggest and best.
Drake, Rihanna, Beyonce, Katy, Gaga, The Weeknd,
and more. All your decade-defining favorites, all in one place.
Hi, it's Katy Perry.
Hey, it's Bruno Mars.
This is Kesha.
Find 2010's The Decade on the free iHeartRadio app. Preset the station so it's always one tap away. Time is valuable. Thanks for spending your morning with us. The Elias Macco Show on News Talk Radio, CJAD 800.
I want to dive into the forecast for just a sec here because the immediate Montreal area is under a yellow watch for severe thunderstorms. That's for this afternoon. We're at 25 degrees right now in Montreal. Some sunny breaks, but mostly it's pretty overcast with that little yellow tinge out there. People are talking about whether this is forest fire smoke that is blown in from other regions. But aside from that, I wanted to mention that beyond the immediate Montreal area, there are orange watches now. And there is one in particular for tornadoes. And this is for the area to the north and east of Montreal. And I'm just zooming out of Environment Canada's map for this. So we're looking at Point Repentigny, Sorel-Tracy, Rawdon, Shawinigan, Trois-Rivières, Victoriaville, Drummondville, even over towards Sherbrooke. That's an orange watch for tornado. So we're going to be paying a lot of attention to weather. And next hour, we're going to be speaking to Montreal's resident weather whisperer about whether we've all become a little jumpy about extreme weather, and for good reason these days. That is coming up next hour. Right now, we welcome to the show Quebec Distillery that has secured a rather prestigious award at a blind tasting competition at the San Francisco World Spirits Competition. Distillerie Mariana of Trois-Rivières captured one of the top prizes in the competition for a rum. And you might not associate Quebec with rum, but there you go. Morbleu Rhum Cacao received first place and a gold medal in its category against entries from around the globe. Philippe Leblanc is a distiller and owner of Distillerie Mariana. Philippe, thanks for joining us on CJAD 800.
Hi, Trudy.
Hello. So tell us, Quebec rum, I never would have put those together until, well, we were talking about elbows up last hour. This is another elbows up thing when some of our American options at the liquor store disappeared because the SAQ instituted a boycott of American products. We started exploring more locally produced stuff, and we discovered that, in fact, distilleries here like yours are really branching out into new categories. How long have you been working with rum, Philippe?
You're totally right. For us at Mariana Distillery, we are operating since 11 years, and we have been playing with rums for the last 8 years. But one thing that is, worth to mention is that rum was in fact historically the first spirit to be distilled here. Back in the days, the maritime provinces would sail, to the Caribbean and trade salted dried cod for molasses and bring back the molasses in North America, in Quebec and the Maritimes, and would distill and make the rum out of those molasses. Later on, the British came and taught us how to ferment grain and produce alcohol, beer, and moonshine, from the grain. So we stopped going all the way to the Caribbean to find a sugar source to make the alcohol. So we stopped for maybe a century to make rum here, but with the the booming of the craft distillery scene, we started to play again for us 8 years ago with rum production.
Tell us about your process then to make this product that did so well at the San Francisco World Spirits Competition. Where do you source your raw materials from, and what's the process for creating this?
So with the Morbleu brand, we have 4 products. We make a white rum. We make a 5-year-old aged rum. With this white rum, we make a spiced rum also that uses spices. So the taste with that one comes from the spices. And the product that won the gold medal now is our cocoa rum variant. So it's our spiced rum base to which we add cocoa extracts. So it's a little bit sweet, but the chocolate flavor, makes it a kind of a dessert rum. And to our knowledge, there's no other cocoa flavored rum, out there in the market. We launched it for Easter a few years ago at the SAQ as a limited edition product. And the people liked it so much that the SAQ asked us to keep it year round, and we decided to send it to the contest. So we make rum from the molasses. We do a cold ferment, like a slow and cold fermentation to develop a lot of esters, a lot of odor and taste with a strong high ester rum, to which we blend to some Puerto Rican neutral rum that we source. So we take a volume of sourced rum for economic, purposes. That is, let's say, like the white Canva, and then we make the colors, the high ester rums in house, and then we paint that piece of art, if you will, with that blend.
This is a sipping rum. Is that my understanding, Philippe, that this is probably best savored on its own as opposed to being blended into drinks, or is it versatile that way?
It's a sipping rum. It's a dessert rum because we add a little bit of cane sugar to sweeten it, and then the chocolate flavor, makes it a nice dessert rum. You can mix it with coffee. The cocoa and the coffee will blend well together. And you can also use it in cooking, in desserts, for example.
Oh, I can imagine doing a bananas Foster with that. That would be great.
Yeah.
Woo! Yeah. Bananas and chocolate rum. Given your success at the San Francisco World Spirits Competition with the gold medal, what are you experimenting with now? I'm just wondering what's in the pipeline. What has your imagination been sparked on the rum scene?
Now it's funny because now that we have 4 variants under the Morbleu brand, through the SAQ, I think the category is pretty much covered. But at our distillery in Trois-Rivières, we have a restaurant, we receive visitors, we have a boutique on site, and we are currently launching some limited editions under the Morbleu Rhum that is exclusive to our boutique. We do some finishing in exotic casks. So we take our 5-year-old amber rum, that has no spices, no sugar, just a pure distillate that we age for 5 years in bourbon barrels. And then we will do additional finishing for 6 months to up to 1 year in some exotic casks that we sell exclusively at the boutique. So it's small lots that we cannot cover the SAQ network with those quantities, but it's for fun, it's for the craft.
Philippe Leblanc, very interesting. Thank you for the interview.
Thank you for covering the news, and have a great day.
Philippe Leblanc, distiller and owner of Distillerie Mariana, and that is in Trois-Rivières. And as he mentioned, it also has a restaurant and associated operations there. I'm thinking I might be able to pitch that as a road trip to Kev. Well, we'll have to see. Nice summer day, head to Trois-Rivières, lovely part of the province. Oh, and they have that tiki bar there, the coconuts, the tiki bar in the motel. Oh, the more I think about it, the better I think the idea is. Okay, I got to say.
I love watching the wheels turn as you're putting together these vacation plans here, Trudy.
There you go, James Foster. Yeah, I gotta try and sell. Well, if I mention Tiki Bar and Morbleu Rum in the same sentence, I think Kev will be sold pretty.
I mean, the second you mentioned Tiki Bar, I was like, well, you're not going to be doing much arm twisting on this one.
There you go. All right, we're up against news at 10:30. When we come back, in transit, we're going to be telling you about this new shuttle that Air Canada is going to be running between downtown and Trudeau Airport. The what, the why, the where, all that stuff. That's coming up after James's update.
Listen, and you're there for heart-wrenching knockouts.
World's biggest stage.
And breathtaking triumph. 2026 FIFA World Cup. The knockout stage. Every match, every moment. Listen on TSN Radio. Join the globe on the road to the July 19th final. 2026 FIFA World Cup. Stream it all live on TSN Radio. Available on iHeartRadio. The Elias Macco Show. On demand.
On demand. Don't miss a thing.
Find your favorite clips at CJAD800.com and on the free iHeartRadio app.
Air Canada has decided to start running a shuttle between downtown Montreal and Trudeau Airport in Dorval. I have a feeling the amount of time it's been taking vehicles to reach the terminal might have something to do with it. We'll ask in just a moment.
When the news breaks, be the first to know with CJAD 800.
Peter Nygaard has accepted a plea deal in his latest sexual assault trial in Montreal. The 84-year-old didn't present any evidence in his defense before a court of Quebec judge found him guilty of sexual assault and forcible confinement.
Get it first with breaking news emails sent to your inbox. Sign up today at CJAD800.com.
You can create a happier, healthier lifestyle for you and your family. Montreal en Santé, in partnership with the MUHC, is Quebec's only bilingual health and wellness magazine, giving you breaking medical news and stories that will help you live a more active, healthy lifestyle. Look for the Montreal Roses on the front cover, our new professional women's soccer team ready to inspire a new generation. You can pick up your free copy of Montreal en Santé magazine at all MUHC hospitals, pharmacies, grocery stores, and health food chains island-wide. Or read us online at montrealensanté.com. Montreal en Santé magazine, your guide to living well.
Canadian women are looking for more out of themselves, their businesses, their elected leaders, and the world around them.
And that's why we're thrilled to introduce the Honest Talk podcast.
I'm Jennifer Stewart.
And I'm Catherine Clark. And in this podcast, we interview Canada's most inspiring women.
Entrepreneurs, artists, athletes, politicians, and newsmakers, all at different stages of their journey.
So if you're looking to connect, then we hope you'll join us.
Listen to the Honest Talk podcast on iHeartRadio or wherever you listen to your podcasts.
La STM vous souhaite la bienvenue à bord.
He has an Opus card and a microphone. You're in transit with Elias Mackos. CJAD 800.
Trudy Mason sitting in for Elias for the next little while. Looking now more closely at this new shuttle service that Air Canada has set up to connect downtown to Trudeau Airport in Montreal. We have been hearing for ages about all the traffic tie-ups around the terminal at Trudeau because of all the work they're doing there. Most recently, it was the demolition of the big parking structure directly in front of the terminal. It has things all tied up. People have been complaining that it's faster to get out of your taxi and walk the last click or so up to the terminal than it is to sit and wait in traffic. Maybe that's why Air Canada has decided to start running this shuttle. Let's ask. We welcome to CJAD 800 Ranbir Singh, Director of Regional Airlines and Markets at Air Canada. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me on, Trudy.
So why has Air Canada seen it necessary to set up this shuttle service between downtown and Trudeau?
Well, Trudy, congestion to the airport helps nobody. We've been in close coordination with the airport authority trying to find ways to improve access to the airport. The airport authority added their own bus in partnership with the STM a little while ago, and now we're adding an exclusive direct nonstop service for our customers from downtown to the airport as well.
And we understand that this bus is not only going to be able to take the reserve bus lane on Highway 20 through the Turcotte Yards, which can save a lot of time because I'm one of the people steaming in traffic alongside that bus taxi lane. But it also is going to have a special access to the terminal itself. What kind of time are we talking about here? Do you think the shuttle will save for passengers coming from downtown?
It's a great question, Trudy. We've been running test runs with this bypass access that we worked on with the airport authority, and at peak times, this can save up to 20 minutes in your travel time.
And you're also picking up from a central location downtown outside the Palais des Congrès. Why did you choose that point for your pickup?
Well, the Palais des Congrès, first of all, they've been great partners as part of this initiative. It's a centrally located spot, high visibility, next to multiple corporate offices, multiple hotels, and they have multi-thousand-person conferences every week throughout the summer season, and we feel like we can target a lot of those customers to take this new service.
So that basically is visitors to Montreal, people who are coming and staying around, in old Montreal, the hotels there. This is not necessarily Montrealers leaving on trips, unless you're targeting downtowners.
Well, we're actually targeting both segments. So our global reach allows us to bring tourists in via a more efficient access to downtown. And then for locals who live near the Palais, we're going to access it via the metro station right in the same building. They can also take advantage of the service. And we're seeing about equal uptake so far in the 1,000 bookings we've already got on hand.
Oh, 1,000 bookings already. And the service started, Monday? Yesterday?
The service officially started Monday. We did a soft launch over the weekend. So over the last 72 hours, 1,000 people have booked.
That's pretty impressive. What about luggage? Are these, what kind of buses are these? Do they have the big cargo areas underneath for all of people's suitcases?
Absolutely. Luggage won't be a problem. These are made in Quebec Prévost motor coaches. They seat 48 passengers on board, and your luggage is put into the belly of the bus and handed back to you at the curb at the airport. So you don't need to sit with your luggage on your lap or beside you. You can travel in ease.
What is the frequency of service?
The shuttle runs 37 times a day in each direction.
37 times a day in each direction. So in some periods, then you're running, every half hour or so?
Correct. For most of the day, we're running every 30 minutes. And in the early part of the day, we're actually running every 15 minutes in each direction.
And the cost, of course. What's the cost?
Yes. Good question. So the shuttle will be $9 one way plus taxes. So a very cost-effective option for all travelers.
Are you going to be running just one bus there and back, or do you foresee if the service becomes very popular, you might have to add buses?
We're definitely in a position to add more buses based on demand, but we've already got 6 buses on the road to meet this schedule. So it's already a small fleet that we have here that's operated by our partners, Autobus Galan and the Landline Company.
Are they branded with the Air Canada logo and that type of thing? Like, how do people at the pickup point know that's their bus?
So to pick up at the airport, it's Gate 7 on departures level, and at the Palais de Congrès, it's the entrance on Viger and Bleury Street. They're giant Air Canada moving billboards, essentially. We've got Air Canada painted on the side, and we've also got a dedicated lounge at the Palais that people can sit and relax comfortably before their bus departs. You can't miss it.
Does Air Canada supply this type of service in any other city in Canada?
We have a similar service in Toronto. So out of Toronto Pearson Airport, we actually operate to 6 cities with the same company, Landline, everywhere from Niagara to Muskoka, from Kingston to Sarnia. It's worked really well over there, and now we're applying the service a little bit differently with the downtown connection in Montreal. I'm
kind of relieved to hear that it's not just us that has these delays heading to the airport where a third party has to come in and say, here, we have a little bit of a solution here for you. That I find that a little bit reassuring. Are you personally familiar with Montreal's traffic woes?
Definitely. As a frequent traveler out of the airport myself, I use our own product. I've been there, and I'm really happy we can bring this to customers to make the journey a little smoother going forward.
All right. Thanks very much for your time. Ranbir Singh, Director, Regional Airlines and Markets at Air Canada. Thanks very much.
Thanks, Trudy. Have a good day.
All righty. When we return, we're going to be talking about the video game industry in Quebec, particularly here in Montreal. There have been some layoffs. There's turbulence in that market. We will find out whether this is something that we can expect more of in the months and years to come.
The newest tracks. Let's go. New music. And the next big thing.
Always on the new music first.
Your first place to hear it all.
'Cause you gon' like it, love it, wanna play it twice.
Playing now.
iHeart New Music. Your digital station for brand new drops, fresh finds, and tomorrow's bangers.
I think we need something new.
Discover iHeart New Music. Always fresh, always first. Stream now on the free iHeartRadio app. Breaking news. Considered. The Elias Macco Show. News Talk Radio. CJAD 800.
It has been years now that Montreal in particular and Quebec in general has been seen as a video game production hub. So these names have become household names here in Montreal. Ubisoft, as well as Eidos Montreal, Behavior Interactive, Warner Brothers. These are part of what has become an international reputation for this part of Quebec for video game production, for innovation, for creativity, for our artists and all the people whose work goes into video games. However, the resiliency of that industry in the city is taking a little bit of a hit. There have been some layoffs. There's turbulence. There may be more job losses. Here to tell us more about what has happened and what may be happening in the short term, we welcome Jean-Jacques Hermans, Executive Director of la Guilde de Jeux Vidéo de Québec, the Quebec Video Game Guild. Jean-Jacques, thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me. I'm pleased to be here.
What is going on in the video game industry that is shaking the foundations a bit here in Montreal?
Well, I think it's not only in Quebec. I think it's a global situation, I guess, in the industry overall. I think, post-pandemic, I think we've seen a lot of, over the past 18 months or so, I think we've seen a lot of restructuring ongoing globally. And it's been the case a little bit also here in Quebec.
How many job losses have there been so far?
Well, I think we kind of have a perspective of where we talk a lot about layoffs, but we're still hiring a lot here in Quebec. So basically, I think over the past, if we look at the past year and maybe the next 6 months, I think we will lose probably about 1,500 jobs over here in Quebec, mostly in the services industry. So these are not jobs specifically jobs within the studios developing games, but mostly in the services industry. So companies who service the industry in terms of, for example, QA, localization, et cetera, et cetera. So.
You say that like I actually know what that is, and I have to admit I don't.
I do apologize.
No, that's okay. Maybe you can elaborate a little bit, because I don't think a lot of us understand exactly what kind of things underpin the industry here.
So, for example, at La Guilde, we have about 400 members working, developing IP here in Quebec. But some of these members, some of these companies actually do not develop IP, but they actually support the other studio. So they offer services in terms of co-development. They offer services such as, testing the games, translating the games in different languages, depending where you want to sell the games. So we do have, lost some of a number of jobs within those companies. And also, as you've seen in the media lately, jobs in some of the international studios as well.
You mentioned that there is still a lot of hiring. There are still a lot of jobs in the industry, so it's not exactly gloom and doom. Are you implying that a lot of the people who are getting laid off are going to be able to find other work at other places in the region?
Yes, I think, that's the perspective that we kind of, we see in the media. When there's layoffs, we tend to concentrate, and it's important. But also, I think we need to understand that these studios, especially on the international studios level, they also hire, so some of the projects are put on pause, for example. There's some layoffs happening because people are in between, or companies are in between projects, but they're still hiring. So, for example, if a lot of press has been mentioning, for example, some of the layoffs that happened a few weeks ago at EA in Montreal, where EA actually went from 400. The studio here in Montreal went from 400 and something jobs to over 500. So I think we also need to look at the fact that these studios are also hiring.
Is there anything that can be done to make Montreal more attractive? And I know you don't want to always knee-jerk resort to, we should be offering subsidies, or we should be, like right. Film credits. Film credits over the years brought a lot of productions to Montreal. Is there anything that might be any lessons learned there that could be applied to video game production to provide a little bit more stability or make Montreal more attractive?
Yes, definitely, and actually the industry has entered into globally here in Quebec, we've entered into a 3-year project. I want to say a strategic plan, to make sure that the industry is able to react to the headwinds, I guess, we're facing right now. Not only in Quebec, but I mean globally. The global economy, the cost of playing for gamers, for example, is going higher. The impact, for example, of AI. What's the impact? And so in order to understand the impact of those headwinds, we've entered into a 3-year strategic planning. We are making sure that I think we need to be more competitive and especially better at commercializing our games. I think here in Quebec we are known for making splendid games. Our artists. You were talking about the diversity. You were talking earlier about what we've been able to put together here as a hub in Quebec. But I think we still need to be better. We need to be more competitive and better at commercializing our games. So we produce high quality, fantastic games, but there are about 20,000 games that come out every year globally. So how do we get better at selling our games and making sure that they're more visible? I think that's where we want to focus on.
I wanted to ask you about AI because you just mentioned it, because it seems that a lot of the creative industries are very worried about job elimination, everything from script writing, copywriting, to the creation of art and so on. You say that's on your radar as you look ahead for the next 3 years to form a strategic plan that you're going to be looking at AI?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we have a number of committees looking at that in the industry, and we're also working with the rest of the creative industry here in Quebec to better understand. I think at first there was a consensus that the artistic component of the games would be affected, but what we're seeing more and more is that the actual development, so the coding of the game is actually being more impacted by AI than what we thought earlier. So what's the impact on the actual game, on the development time for the game, on the competitiveness of the game, but also on the competencies that we're looking for and on our employees. So I think it's a very, very important subject that we need to look at. And when I mentioned 3 years, I mean 3 years is way too late. I think we need to understand better the impact of AI within the next 6 months.
Oh, oof, okay. You have your work cut out for you, Jean-Jacques.
Yes.
All right. Well, good luck with that, and thanks very much for talking to us today.
Lovely. Thank you very much for having me again.
Jean-Jacques Hermans, Executive Director of la Guilde de Jeux Vidéo de Québec. After we get the update from the newsroom with James Foster, we are going to get a preview of the World Cup semi-final matches. When I heard about the 2 games in the match, I thought, oh my heavens, these are going to be electric, these games. More on that coming up.
Hello, Canada.
This is Bryan Adams Radio. Hosted by Bryan Adams himself.
We'll play a few of mine, a ton of my favorites, and some must-hear behind-the-scenes stories from the world of rock and roll.
I'm coming to get you!
One thing about doing rock and roll so long is you end up meeting a lot of the people that you admire. Sometimes you even get to work with them.
It's only love, and that's all.
Bryan Adams Radio.
I'm coming back to you.
Now available on the free iHeartRadio app.
Hey everybody, how are you tonight? Sounds great.
You're listening to the Voice of Montreal.
News Talk Radio, CJAD 800.
An iHeartRadio station.
Unmistakably Canadian.
It's the music that raised you.
The artists raising the bar.
Hi, this is Bryan Adams.
Hey, my name's Brett Emmons. I'm from the Glorious Sons.
Hi, I'm Nelly Furtado.
Made in Canada. The station that champions Canadian music.
Loud, proud, and all yours.
No passports required. Just press play.
Tap into Made in Canada now on iHeartRadio.ca
or the free iHeartRadio app.